僕たちも入れて30人ですから、ここには23人いるという。嘘。
Hey, at least they have way more numbers than a certain empire I know. Cold opener for this one was the immediate follow-up to the last episode, and hi Aoyama! Yeah, I see you're still obsessed with your budget-friendly and easy-to-use drag and drop, which we're going to see a lot of throughout this episode. Anyway, Oyaji and Gigi escape back to the wizard's world, which alerted the queen, who, according to Majorine's predictions, could lead to a declaration of war.
勝手な行動を取らないように伝えるのです。
Though points to Doremi's ouch at the end there. In fact, I'll say right now, most of the comedic writing in this one is spot on, with even some good visual gags backing them up, like this exchange between the Ojamajo and Flat 4 being spot on with the timing and delivery. Granted, it's not all perfect because of a certain someone, but we'll get to that later. For now, and with Hana in hand, Oyaji and Gigi decide to rally their troops and just declare war on the witch's world without any direct orders from the king, which, yeah, even if the twist later in the episode didn't happen, I'm pretty sure that's outright grounds for treason. I mean, come on, when would any governing power get away with acting so selfishly? And I'll stop talking now. But yeah, the Wizard Knights, who look more like Mega Man enemies, did their funny little march to the witch's world. Like, seriously, this looks so stupid that I feel like I shouldn't be laughing at it, but I kind of am. Fortunately, I did feel a little less guilty about laughing at what followed when Oyashi tried to cheer up a crying Hana. However, and even though that would keep me happy for at least a few weeks, Hana still missed her moms and thus decided to live up to her title of God Baby and start to enact her divine wrath. At the same time, Pop did have somewhat of a workaround to her narcolepsy in that she was at least an early riser, and when she realized that the rest of the Ojamajo weren't around, she decided to check in on them. Along the way, she stumbled upon the literal seeds that had been planted in the previous episode that just so happened to fully develop at this point in time.
Oh, how convenient!
Anyway, the Ojamajo and Flat 4 closed in on Hana with their brooms and skateboards respectively, which, yeah, y'all could have gone at least with some hoverboards to keep up with them. Then again, maybe they just knew what was coming. There's some sort of reference I could do here in regards to Hana's VA. Oh, I know. I mean, yeah, it was pretty much the same pun, with rain and candy being homonyms for each other in Japanese, and I guess Hana just so happened to see Wreck-It Ralph beforehand. Anyway, the reign of cavities led to the Ojamajo running into the wizard army, who they tried to stop, but they didn't really need to do anything because I guess there really was some melty chocolate mixed in with that rain. Fortunately, Akatsuki managed to wrap them all up in a certain taffy-esque candy in Japan that also managed to trap the army. With that, there was nothing stopping them from saving Hana. Oh no, what an easily avoidable trap. Like, seriously, all y'all had to do was pull up. Like, come on, y'all have to make up for that bit of plain stupidity with at least some form of fun stupidity or... Okay, that'll do. Like, seriously, just this shot from high above where we can see everyone running around is the epic kind of comedy that I love to see, even if it makes no sense whatsoever. Granted, it was somewhat spoiled by more of Mitsuru Aoyama's just plain old lazy animation. Like, seriously, what the hell, dude? And why does Leon suddenly have Ilulu hands? Is it an animation error with the baby spinner? I don't know. And yet, I get the feeling like he's gonna be working for Toei for another 10 years from now. Anyway, while everyone was stuck in an Aoyama loop, Doremi tried to stop the Boomer Wizards, who were surprisingly nimble. Thus, she ended up chasing them into the king's castle. Meanwhile, the Ojamajo managed to destroy Hana's giant toys with some clever yet simple sequences with the Flat 4. It both showed off the new unity they have formed effectively, and also how you can do cheap animation without looking lazy. Like again, I just hate when Aoyama's not only just being cheap with his animation, but also pretty lazy. They are also literally cutting corners here with these cut-ins of the Ojamajo and Flat 4, but there's enough visual language going on that it doesn't feel like the animators just plain gave up. Though the Ojamajo were close to calling it quits after they had used up all of their magic seeds. Gee, I wonder if a certain plot point from earlier is gonna play a part in this climax. Anyway, the wizards managed to make their way to the king and explained everything they had done without his permission, which, yeah, even if he had been planning an attack, I'm pretty sure most rulers would want to do it on their terms, you know, to minimize losses and all that. Though on that note, Oyashi at least tried to prevent himself from taking any more L's by driving Doremi away with a freaking conveyor belt. Again, I feel like y'all need to learn how to use your flying brooms a little more, but at least it gave Doremi an opportunity to do a somewhat dramatic speech about how important Hana was to her. I mean, it's not too effective when, again, she's doing it from a conveyor belt. It's just kind of making me snicker, especially when she can just hop off of it. But it was enough to win Oyashi over, who, to his credit, had a good character moment where he said screw becoming a baron and tried to give Hana back. However, Gigi wasn't having any of it, which resulted in Hana still going to the king anyway. Doremi tried to take her back, and I think Gigi tried to stop her, but either his aim was really off, or he was just trying to straight up assassinate the king. Fortunately though,
Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
yeah, in an admittedly good twist, the king turned out to be the salamander he had kept on his lap and had been puppeting a mannequin of himself, which was even kind of foreshadowed during his initial appearance. What wasn't quite as good a twist was the reveal that he wasn't actually a bad guy, as he actually did want them to take Hana hostage, even though his original wording didn't exactly back that up. But you still said sarao, which means to abduct or kidnap, which, you know, has kind of bad connotations, especially in regards to a toddler. Not to mention, why didn't you just clarify things with Gigi here if you didn't want to go to war and just want Hana to turn you back to normal? Like, these two are reckless idiots, but a lot of this could have easily been avoided if you had chosen your words a little better there, dude. It's a pretty forced plot twist for the sake of this surprise reveal that kind of falls flat when you actually go back and look at the stuff. Anyway, they actually probably did need Hana to restore their world, as the first thing to go was the castle. As a result, the king ended up being buried under,
I'm sorry, what?
yeah, wasn't that mannequin the same size as the actual king just a few seconds ago? So how did it get so much bigger? Did Hana cast a spell on it? And if so, why? It's never really explained, and obviously the only reason for it was so that the king and Hana could be pinned down, so that the Ojamajo could make the save thanks to Pop coming in with Doremi's freshly grown seeds.
Everybody got that? Good.
And if that didn't sound rushed enough, after the king returned Hana, the Witch Queen, as a sign of peace, just kind of resolved the wizard world's magic famine by just giving them some extra magic she had lying around. Yeah, it really does feel like they just wanted to resolve this conflict quickly, just so that they could move on to the next thing, which they hinted at as the episode ended. Like, don't get me wrong, I still like this episode for its insanity, but you also kind of have to keep that sort of stuff in check. Sure, Hana's powers going out of control would ever not be entertaining, especially when they go really over the top. But what's not as entertaining is when the show breaks too many of its own rules that lead to some poor continuity with previous episodes and even previous scenes. Usually, I'm a fan of Yasuo Yamayoshi's direction, but for this one, it felt the most disorganized and kind of rushed in places. While he wasn't credited as the main animation director of this one, this was pretty much a Mitsuru Aoyama episode, with how many of his key animations they used that just felt inexcusably lazy. Now, there was still good animation, including this impressive overhead shot, and just the whole sequence of the wizards outpacing Doremi. Fun stuff like that, plus the Flat 4 and Ojamajo working together, really made this episode. Where it fell apart was, unfortunately, the story. Stuff like the king's twist alone wouldn't be too bad, as at least they tried to set it up properly, but when combined with the statues suddenly being able to pin him down, and his kingdom just being restored after being on the brink of death for so long, it starts to make it all feel a little too contrived and rushing to the conclusion just so that we can enter into the actual final arc of the show. It's just not great storytelling where it really feels like things are just happening for the sake of the plot and not because of the characters' actions. Granted, it's not too bad, and Oyashi at least got a decent moment to shine, but it's also kind of clear that they just wanted to get this plot out of the way, a consistent narrative be damned. Still, overall, I did enjoy this one just for some of the fun and pretty hilarious moments, some of them not entirely intentional due to Oyama's really bad animation, but hey, at least it's one of the better chases I've seen in a while. On that note though, yeah, we are kind of dropping Wonderful Pretty Cure for the most part, and starting this week, we will be covering Baka Age Sentai Boom Boonjer. I'm looking forward to it because I really like the work of the head writer, who on top of writing most of the Battle Spirits anime, also was a major secondary writer for Pokemon for years, and head wrote the first 26 episodes of Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D, so yeah, he's written some stuff I really like. So look forward to it, and until then though, for anime friends, and yep, I think I'm just gonna make a run for it. And hey, why don't we do it Aoyama style?